Allison is a watercolor artist specializing in California landscapes and other reflections of nature. On her hikes and travels in the Sierra Nevada mountains and national parks, she frequently paints in nature journal or in plein air. She received her formal training as an artist at California State University, Sacramento, me too, and 2 local community colleges. Welcome, Allison.
Hi.
Welcome. How are you doing?
It's good to be here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you just
good.
fine. How you doing?
Good, good.
So, does this feel kind of strange a little bit, or is it fine?
Yeah, it's okay.
Have you been doing a lot of Zooming lately? Because this is kind of like the Zoom world right now.
Yes. I had some workshops scheduled, and then they all got canceled, and then they transformed into Zoom workshops. So
well, that's
those
awesome.
are kind of fun. Yeah.
But now we got this interview. So, what's your current favorite art material?
Well, I consider myself a watercolorist. You know, I started out in oils, and you know, I'm one of those people with way too many interests. You know, there's collage and pastel and acrylic, and you know, it goes on and on.
Yeah,
I was at Sac State, and I saw the work of Gary Pruner, and I just, oh my God, I got to take from this guy. And I went over there to take all his classes, and I took a watercolor class. And then it was just like, you know, this is my medium. And I TA'd for him the next semester. He must have known I was just so jazzed about it. And then it's just been a love affair with watercolor ever since. Yeah.
Oh, so you have like all of this experience with all these different materials, but watercolor is the one that you chose to it just spoke to you.
Yeah, you know, and the thing is, it's really a hard medium to master, and you know, there's the the dyeing pigment, you know, there's the dye, and then there's the there's all kinds of things, you know, the water and the rate of absorption, and I mean, it's just there's just technical. So much to it. Yeah, but once you kind of start to feel a little more comfortable with it, it's just wonderful. Yeah.
Isn't it weird that when you're learning a new process and you see somebody doing it, it almost seems like it's impossible that once you start to do it more and more, you know all those little secrets now too, and so you become the pro. So what's your artistic practice when you're making these watercolors?
Well, I really like to do plein air painting, and you know, that's my first love. I even go out to William Land Park, and you know, I take my backpack, and you know, I brought some of the stuff out here so you could see, you know, like my palette, you know. And
can you, for people who don't know, can you explain what plein air is, so that way all this material makes sense?
Yeah. So what I do is I have a backpack, and I have my my palette with the paint in it, and pencils and stuff, and my brushes and my paper, and I have a support to put the paper on, and some water in a jar. And then plein air painting is just really just going out in nature, and there's a tripod stool I bring too. And then it's just painting outside, and it's really wonderful because, you know, I'm glad I'm in the nature area, you know, segment, because you know, you just listen to the birds, and you see the little butterflies, and you're, you know, near the ground, and you get to see all the vegetation and the clouds, and you know, you write down the time of day. And that's another thing. I started with nature journaling, so I started small, and then I decided, you know, I'm ruining these nature journals, you know, I'm spilling stuff, they're sticking together, all that kind of stuff. So I just decided to go to one piece of paper and then paint on that. So I'm just sitting out there for 2 hours, maybe 4 at the most, but that's kind of not all the time. But and then just create a work of art. But then I take it back to my studio. I have a studio in Midtown, or I take it here. I'm actually got my dining room table right now. And then I do detail work, and I might, you know, finish off some edges, and you know, just do some cleanup of it. And then I also have a mirror, and so I put the painting under the mirror and then look up at it, and I could see the problems with it.
Oh, that's smart. So when you're explaining your experience when you go out and you're listening to the birds and you're really being in love with nature, so it's almost like your paintings are like an extension of what you're doing at that time. You see
Yeah,
that?
yeah. It really is. And sometimes I even put down the time of day, what the weather's like, the temperature
Yeah.
and the clouds and all that, and what I'm hearing in the background. That's kind of basically from the nature journaling aspect of it. Yeah.
And are
But go ahead.
those paintings are those yours behind you?
Yeah, this is not plein air, but it's from a photo I took when I was traveling with my husband on a trip. And then this one is plein air with botanical, so you just cut the flowers and put them in some water and put them upright and paint from them.
And so is there any time when you're working in plein air where it feels like you need an extra motivation? Like what keeps you motivated?
I don't have any problem with motivation. I'm such a nature lover, even though it's kind of embarrassing, but I didn't really go out in nature a whole lot until my mid-30s. I was just distracted with school and art and, just all kinds of stuff, family. And, but yeah, now that I've, started hiking and backpacking and, just going in the Sierras and the coast and, wonderful places around California, I just have no motivation problem at all because there's just so much beauty here. It's amazing.
So can you tell us about your current body of artwork that you're working on right now?
Yeah, so they're mostly all landscapes. I'm not really doing a whole lot of the botanicals right now. It's mostly all landscapes, and I'm trying to get, I call my art dreamy expressionism meets California regionalism. And
Oh,
so I'm kind of in between it being more abstracted and then kind of go toward the California regionalism. If you know much about that, it's sort of a Asian influence, and there's more flat planes, and there's gestural, and there's some calligraphy and brighter colors and that type of thing. So this is more like that. This is more like the abstracted version of that. And so if you look on my website, you'll kind of see a range of it. And so my current body work is really in between those two.
and so when you're working like that, because I know from experience that for me it's hard to when you're doing something where you're painting something or rendering something from real life. How do you manage to improvise without trying to make it realistic? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
It's really hard. Sometimes, I wasn't sure if I'd show you this, but this is kind of captures that. I was hiking up in Yosemite on, gosh, what was it? The back, El Capitan. And I took a photo. Of course, I wasn't going to paint there. And then I thought, I'm going to do this painting. And I don't know if you can see this.
oh wow. Well, that's
And then,
awesome.
you know what? I don't like it. And the reason I don't, it's too California regional, and I'm
Yeah.
going to redo it. Put it on paper, the outline, and I'm going to go back and just do it a bit more like this.
I would say that, like, but technically it's awesome. But I can understand
Thank
it's
you.
not what you wanted. You want
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
So are you gonna build on top of that, or are you just gonna start another one? Because
I'm going to start another
watercolor.
one. I'm going to, fix some of the compositional, flaws and kind of go from there. I'm really excited to see what it looks like afterwards.
So I guess, like, when you're basically kind of rendering it differently, how do you know what the flaws are? Or is it something you just play with?
That's an interesting question. I don't know if anyone else feels like that. I hope they do. But it's sort of like this, your heart area just goes, like something's not right. So I just kind of go from how I feel inside. There's something wrong.
That's where
Sometimes
the
I need my
artist comes
friends
in.
to, yeah, and I need my friends to point it out sometimes too. I'm in this little a critique group, with a
Oh,
few
nice.
artist friends. It's really nice, and we started meeting once a week since COVID started, and it's really helped a lot.
You know, it's that's actually bring it up, having friends to critique. That's really awesome, and it's especially if you have some friends who will give you that critique and not just be a cheerleader the whole time. So
Yes.
anybody out there who's an artist and you have friends who are just, you can tell that they're just cheering you on just a little too much.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to find some more serious art friends. But you brought up COVID. How's your studio practice changed since COVID? It must have. I mean, it's affected so many people.
Yeah, I'm not really going to my studio in Midtown much, and that's not really COVID, but maybe a little bit. And I, had to cancel a lot of the workshops and traveling. Oh God, we were going to go all kinds of places, and I'm working here on my dining room table, and but it did kind of push me to reevaluate my my studio situation. So I have the 70-year-old workshop in the backyard, and we're going to fix that up, and I'm going to move into that. And so the COVID was kind of an impetus to do something like that.
And you brought up that you were going to be doing like these workshops and they had to get canceled, but now you're starting to do them online.
Yeah.
Have you found any like benefits or drawbacks to doing your workshops online?
Yeah, well, I kind of like it actually. You save on hotel room and travel, and it's a little bit cheaper. And I get to go back and you can't rewind life,
Yeah.
but you can rewind the Zoom. It's really, really great. And I get to, have my own setup and just do all the homework. And so that's been really, really good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we're coming towards the end of our conversation. It's been awesome talking to you, Allison. I've never met you before because it's the first time I've met you.
So
hopefully,
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Hopefully after this whole thing's over. I mean, all these people I'm going to be talking to, I can't wait to see them in real life. So can you tell us a little bit more about where we can find your artwork and maybe purchase some of your work?
Yeah, I actually have a piece at KVIE auction, and that's called I Heart Mendocino. I painted it in plein air right off of the road. And I have a piece at the Pence Gallery, and but I also have a website. Oh, that's what I worked on in COVID too. 2 weeks
wow.
working on that website, Wix, and I just learned how to do it all. And oh my God, it was not fun. But I have my website up. I have a shop. I mean, my email's there, my phone number, there's a shop thing, and I tried it out. It'll work.
Isn't it crazy now how we all seem like we're experts now? We've been forced. The world has forced this upon us to have to be on our computers all the time. Stuff I didn't even yeah, exactly. I didn't even know what Zoom was before COVID. All of a sudden I'm starting chats, break rooms, and doing a bunch of stuff with Zoom. This is where we think, talking about going back in time, I wish I could have invested in Zoom stock.
Yeah.
I would have been a millionaire. Well, it's awesome. It was really cool meeting you. Everybody go check out our website and hopefully go get some of her art. Before we leave, just briefly, do you think you could explain the masking technique for watercolor? Because I think it's like one of the most interesting things about doing watercolor, I think.
I try not to use any maskoid, or masking at all. Yeah.
That is, so if anybody out there knows about watercolor and masking, she doesn't use that, which is even more impressive. Awesome. Thank you so much, Allison.
Thank you.
Good talk.
Bye.
Bye.